Sure, you've had some nightmare experiences,
Oh,
Frank.
dude,
Like
how we
I had
not?
a fight where I was fighting in. I think it was my third pro fight, and I was fighting in Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia. I forget where it was, by George Mason University, and I fly out there. I knocked the dude out, and as I knocked him out, my thumb exploded. Compound fracture exploded out, and I think they paid me like $4,000, maybe $3,000, 2 and 2 for that fight. And then I was like, hey man, I need to go to the doctor. My hands bleeding everywhere, but my dad and brother came to the show. And like, no, let's go see the exhibits in Washington, D.C., like the Lincoln Memorial and stuff. So I'm walking around, I'm like lightheaded. I'm like, Dad, I need to go to the doctor. We go to the doctor, and they just didn't cover it. So I had to pay for. I didn't have health insurance at the time. I was broke, and so I remember
The show didn't cover it. Because
they just
you
never
probably
covered
didn't acknowledge it during the fight. So like, well, how do we?
No,
know
they were aware. I mean, it's a
Oh.
compound fracture. They knew what's happening. Yeah, they were like, don't worry, we'll take care of it. So I go to the doctor, assume it's covered. And they just never covered it. Never covered it. Yeah. So I remember that fight ended up costing me like $6,000. You know, because
you paid
$3,000,
money to
$4,000.
fight.
Yeah, paid money to fight. There's so many stories like so many people have stories like that where it's just a nightmare.
Well, when me and Harrison sat down and talked about the different things, like, hey, like, you know, if we're going to get into this, how do we make it better? You know, because Harrison, you know, had a couple fights as an amateur, so like, you know, not only a huge fan of the sport, but making it a better than just, Harrison made his money without the fight league never made it. You know what I mean? Like this wasn't his idea to get rich. It's like, well, I'm already rich. I'm gonna try to make sure I don't become poor doing this. You know what I mean? Like,
Please.
So, but legitimately, how do we make it, a better event? And that's one of the things I talked about. It's like, hey, taking care, like, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? This is things we're supposed to have as an American. And here, life is your health. And there's so many fighters. We've all done it where we're injured in the camps, but we can't go get it fixed or addressed because it financially falls on you.
Yep.
So now it's something where I told her, I said, hey, look, we're gonna have better fights and probably cost less financially because of the fact that now a guy goes and he might have a tear or something that could be rehabbed or something that can be addressed while it's small. It's like, hey, let's go ahead and get you while you have a cold.
Yeah.
Where right now, everybody waits until they have the full-blown flu
Correct.
and they're on a fucking, a breathing machine. It's like, okay, now you got to address it. It's like, well, man, this is going to cost a lot of money. It's like, hey, let's fix your diet. Oh, well, let's wait till you have to have a quadruple bypass.
Yeah.
I mean, like, well, there's different levels, and because of the way that we structure the healthcare that they have it the minute they sign with us, and they have the bout agreement, they're ready to fight. All right, cool. You can train now knowing that if you get hurt in
You're
training,
good. We got you.
we'll take care of you. And it might not necessarily mean you get pulled out of the fight.
Yeah.
You can now address the injury early enough that maybe we could fix it.
Yeah,
Maybe
like
it's
go
something
through
we can go
camp.
through.
Yeah.
So now we get a better fighter for both sides. I want
Yeah.
the fighters. I don't want guys going there injured. I know that's dangerous.
More
and then as a
longevity.
fan, even if you're just a purely evil fan that I just want to see the best guy fight the best guy, like, well, then you want this to happen too, because you want to see the healthiest person
Yeah,
of
not going
himself.
in injured.
You want to see some guy who's a shell of himself. 'Cause